The Orissa High Court recently delivered a landmark judgment that has sparked important conversations across the country. This case has brought to the forefront the often overlooked impact of emotional and psychological harm within marriages and how the law is beginning to recognize its seriousness. The court ruled that ridiculing a spouse for their physical disability is not just unkind, it's a form of mental cruelty and can be valid grounds for divorce. Such behavior, the court emphasized, can leave deep emotional scars that are invisible but long-lasting. This decision highlights that emotional abuse, though it may not leave physical marks, can be just as devastating as physical violence. The pain of harsh words and constant ridicule can erode a person's self-worth and mental health over time. The court's message is clear: marriage is built on respect, trust, and empathy. Words that target a partner's vulnerability or dignity can destroy the very foundation of a relationship, making it impossible for love and companionship to survive. By siding with the husband in this case, the court affirmed that human dignity is non-negotiable, even within the privacy of marriage. The law must protect individuals from all forms of cruelty, not just the physical kind. This ruling marks a significant shift in Indian law, recognizing that persistent mental agony and emotional suffering are as harmful as physical harm. It sets a precedent for future cases and encourages society to take emotional abuse seriously. Ultimately, this judgment challenges each of us to reflect on the power of our words in our closest relationships and reminds us that kindness and empathy are essential for any marriage to thrive. The case began in June 2016, when a man with a physical disability entered into marriage, filled with hope for a loving partnership and the promise of companionship. He dreamed of building a life together, believing that love and mutual respect would overcome any challenges they might face. Instead, his reality quickly turned painful. He faced relentless ridicule from his wife, who used harsh and derogatory ODA terms like Kempa and Nikhatu to mock him for his disability. The words, meant to belittle, left deep emotional scars and made him feel isolated in his own home. The emotional abuse fractured the marriage within months. Arguments became frequent and the couple found themselves drifting further apart, unable to bridge the growing divide. Repeated separations and failed attempts at reconciliation only deepened the wounds, making it clear that trust and understanding had been lost. By March 2018, the wife left for good and both parties turned to the courts for resolution. He filed for divorce while she responded with counter-allegations of cruelty. What began as a private struggle now became a public legal battle, with each side presenting their pain and grievances. What started as a hope-filled union had unraveled into a bitter dispute, with trust and affection lost to a cycle of hurtful words and actions. The emotional toll was immense, leaving both parties feeling betrayed and misunderstood. This story is a stark reminder: words can wound as deeply as any physical act. Emotional abuse, though invisible, can leave lasting scars that are difficult to heal. The marriage's breakdown was complete, with both seeking legal recourse and hoping for closure. The courtroom became the final stage for their fractured relationship. The damage was done not by violence, but by persistent disrespect and the slow erosion of dignity. In the end, it was the cruelty of words that left the deepest wounds. In 2019, the husband filed for divorce, citing mental cruelty from constant ridicule. His claims were supported by witness testimony, strengthening his case in the family court. The wife failed to effectively refute the allegations during cross-examination. The family court found the husband's account credible and granted the divorce. The wife appealed to the Orissa High Court, bringing the case before a division bench. The High Court re-examined the evidence and legal principles. Their review led to a precedent-setting judgment mocking a spouse's disability as valid grounds for divorce. In India, the law recognizes that cruelty in marriage can take many forms. It's not just about physical harm. Mental cruelty is also a valid and serious ground for divorce under Indian law. This means that the emotional and psychological suffering of a spouse is given legal importance, acknowledging that invisible wounds can be just as damaging as visible ones. Mental cruelty isn't defined by a single incident. Instead, it refers to a repeated pattern of behavior that causes deep, lasting emotional pain or distress to the other partner. This can include constant arguments, neglect, or even silent treatment that leaves a person feeling isolated and hopeless. The Supreme Court of India has clarified that persistent insults, public humiliation, and ongoing emotional turmoil can all qualify as mental cruelty. Even actions that may seem minor on their own can add up over time, creating an unbearable environment for the affected spouse. For example, the Orissa High Court applied this standard in a case where repeated mockery of a spouse's disability was found to go far beyond normal marital discord. Such behavior was seen as a clear violation of emotional dignity and respect. Today, the law acknowledges that emotional well-being is just as vital as physical safety. Protecting a person's mental health is now seen as an essential part of justice in family matters. Acts like relentless name-calling, psychological manipulation, or controlling behavior are recognized as serious forms of cruelty. These actions can deeply affect a person's confidence and sense of self-worth. This evolving approach ensures that Indian law protects not just the physical safety of individuals, but also their emotional and mental well-being, offering hope and support to those who need it most. The High Court found the husband's testimony credible and the wife's rebuttal weak. The judges emphasized that marriage is built on mutual respect, especially when one partner is vulnerable. Repeatedly calling a spouse Kempa and Nikhatu was deemed a direct violation of trust and dignity. Citing Supreme Court precedents, the court affirmed that mental cruelty is a legitimate ground for divorce. The divorce was upheld, freeing the husband from a relationship marked by humiliation. The court also protected the wife's financial rights, allowing her to seek alimony and property separately. The judgment balanced justice with compassion for both parties. The Orissa High Court's ruling sends a clear message. Respect is the foundation of marriage. Persistent verbal abuse, especially targeting a partner's vulnerability, destroys that foundation. Recent judgments recognize non-physical abuse like threats or humiliation as serious grounds for divorce. The law now affirms that no one should be bound to a life of emotional suffering. This case urges us to reflect on our own relationships and the language we use. Kindness and respect are not optional, they are essential for a lasting partnership. The ultimate lesson: build your home with words of support, not stones of insult.